Yeah, I think ultimately, like, it really was just like a call for help.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing also I want to clear up, I think a lot of people think initially self-harm means suicidal, and
Yeah.
there actually isn't like a direct line to that. I think a lot of it is similar, but not necessarily the same. So, speaking on my own experience, it was never suicidal. I think we've all had, like very sad thoughts and,
Hmm.
kind of gone through either depression or something close to depression. So for me, what self-harm was, it was mainly, yeah, I think just dealing with my emotions. I think the only thing I knew how to feel was anger.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what sadness was because that
Yeah.
means you're weak, right?
Yeah.
So I remember like this same thing going through my head where I feel like I didn't know how to identify sadness. So then I was like kind of confused, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then I felt like I was being weak because I was, crying at the time or whatever. Usually, like in my room, sometimes I'd even go like in my closet because I just wanted to make sure that no one saw me crying.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was another big one. I was always crying in the shower because no one could hear me crying from
Yeah.
water, right? Um, so I would feel confused, and then I would get mad at myself because I
Yeah.
felt like I was being weak, and I kept feeling like, why can't I handle this? Whatever I'm going through right now, I should be able to handle this, and I'm mad at myself that I can't. So let me, cut and do all these other things
Hmm.
because um, basically disciplining myself,
Yeah.
like the weird, I don't know what I was thinking, but
Yeah.
that's ultimately what it was. So that's kind of how it started when I was younger. So again, I started in seventh grade, but I always did it, and instantly it was like, okay, now I feel better. Put my face back on, and let me go out there. Let me go help with the dishes. Let me go be the big sister. Let me go um, do my homework because Keanna doesn't ever like do anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
As I got older, and went through more traumatic events, I think they were huge signals for me that I was dealing with. I would identify it as depression. I don't know specifically or if that's like actually accurate, but I think looking back, I would say just really, really tough issues, and I still didn't get help. So when I was in high school, I was actually I dealt with sexual assault,
Hmm.
and it was from a family member. So it was like within very close knit. So around that time, I was cutting every day. Um, Eventually, like picked myself up, and then looking at when I was in law school, I went to law school after undergrad, so I was about 20. I think I was 21 when I went to law school because I finished early. Um, and I was so unhappy. I moved to New York. I was um, doing something that I thought everyone else wanted me to do, my family. A lot of Samoans back home were, you're going to be one of the first Samoan attorneys, had all this
Yeah.
pressure on me to kind of fulfill something that I knew wasn't what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um, and being alone out there, I like cut everyone off. There was a day where I like turned my phone off. My mom had no idea how to get a hold of me. And another time, looking back, I think that was me dealing with depression. And again, in that time, I was cutting every day, just super unhappy. So now that I'm able to reflect, I think those were always these huge red flags that I didn't want to take.
Yeah.
Um, that meant that you should go see a therapist. You should go
Yeah.
help because
Yeah.
something is wrong, and for you to be letting it out on yourself and holding it all in is just a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I feel like, and then first, I want to throw it out there for everybody that's watching this, like, you know, having sad feelings. I just want to, for everybody out there, that's a normal part of being a human being. And
yeah,
crying, that's
it's
a
not,
normal
you're
part.
supposed to cry. Your body doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
like
Right. So but it's so crazy, right? Like as kids, like we think crying is like we is something that's weak, and we try
we
to avoid
get
it.
disciplined and we cry and our parents tell us to stop crying or we're gonna get disciplined. It's like really
Yo, so I'm gonna. I remember I shared this as a funny story. Like a couple podcasts ago to talk about crying.
uh,
So for me today, I can't cry. So I don't know if you ever, I don't know if you had this experience. Have you ever been like disciplined by your parents, and then and they tell you if you the more you cry, the more they hit you.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Right, which is the craziest thing ever. Like, wait, you told me stop crying, but you hit me like what?
Yeah, so I'm supposed to sit here and not
Right.
cry. It hurts.
So I remember as a child. That's like, I realized, if I stop crying when I'm getting disciplined, they'll stop hitting me.
Yeah.
The more I cry, so I kind of learned how to like take the discipline and then condition myself to stop crying as a child. So fast forward now, I can't even cry no more. I'm telling you, it's so hard for me to cry, even when in certain situations when I'm supposed to cry. Sometimes people look at me like, dude, are you like, what's wrong with you? Like, why aren't you like, why don't you feel anything? I was like, no, look, I'm telling you, I don't want to talk about my childhood right now. Like, I can't cry even if I wanted to. It's just I've conditioned myself like because of like my early childhood. But that's a little fun story. That's the Polynesian life, the Polynesian upbringing.
Yeah.
But I just want to throw it out there because I know a lot of people are watching this. Like, to let them, and that's one of the things I hear from a lot of Polynesians, right? Like, thinking that having moments of weakness or just having bad days is a terrible thing. But everybody is going through something, and we're all going to have some type of bad day.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna, and there's nothing wrong with crying, and I feel like that's what a lot of kids need to hear. That can definitely help, because like I can totally relate to that, and I understand. Because I know a lot of people like that, where they think that having these emotions. So what happens is if when we try not to deal, when we try to avoid those feelings, those, like you said, you hide it and you hold it in and you bottle it up. And one thing I know about ill feelings, unhealthy emotions, you can't let it bottle up within you. You have to let it go.
Yeah.
And the more we keep it in, it sits there, and of course, as you live your life, and the more you hold it in, it just gets compounded, and more, and then I always like to use the analogy: it's a ticking time bomb. It's like one day it's gonna explode.
Yeah.
and that's why I just want to throw it out there, and I love that you brought that up, that so people can hear that side, like kids know, hey, if you want to cry, that's okay, cry. If you have if you're feeling moments of weakness, just having a bad day, just feeling sad, like. Also let you know, the difference between, I believe, being on sadness and depression is the length of period of time that you're unhappy. So if you're just having like a one day that you're just sad for whatever reason, you had a bad day at school, or whatever, that's normal, right? You feel it, we just feel sad, and then tomorrow you wake up, you're good. But if you're waking up if you're going through a long period of time, whatever, it's like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when those feelings don't go away and you're just constantly feeling sad, no matter what the circumstances are, I remember reading it. That's what depression is depending on how long,
and things that you normally love.
Yeah. So if you're just like, having some bad days and crying, that's cool. All right. So, all right. So that's normal. But I just want to put out there, like, look, if you've noticed that within yourself that you've been sad for a long period of time, and no matter what happens in your life, you're still sad. That's definitely defined as depression. And I suggest, to seek help, go find some people, and some good people, positive people, and professional help as well. And I know as Polynesian, that's one that we have this pride, right? We have this pride, like, I know, like, I don't need help. I mean, I'm strong, especially, especially if you're an independent woman, right? Like, you want to be strong, you don't want, especially if you're independent, you want to self-reliant as a person. That's one of the hardest things, if you rely on yourself and you want to do everything on yourself, that to go ask somebody for help. Because you've been, especially if you've gone through a hard life, that you've kind of went through your whole life journey by yourself, and you made it this far in life. I know it's really, really, even for myself, I still find it hard. I mean, for me, I've kind of went through my own self-love journey, so kind of like just figured things on my own. I still find it hard for myself, even to this day, to ask for help.
Yeah.
But because I've gone through my whole life, figured things out.
Yeah.
But I realized that, like, there's certain things in life that you definitely need some love and some outside assistance. So But that's something I just want to put out there. Yeah, when it comes to having those moments of weakness and crying, that's a normal feeling. Okay.
Okay. It's okay not to be okay.
Okay. I like that. It's okay not to be okay. All right. So for you, like when did it click? Like when did you get to a point when you realize, okay, all right, this is not working. I need a change. And so what kind of like influenced you to kind of like try to make those changes in your life? Because I know you've talked about a lot so far.
Yeah. So as far as the cutting went, like I remember being in the emergency room, and my boyfriend had brought me because we were together at the time, and I was kind of just sitting there like, this isn't like, how long am I supposed to do this for, right? Like when I'm a mom and I'm stressed out, am I supposed to, put my babies down and go to the room and cut? Like, no, that's not the lifestyle that I want to have in the future. And then also my mom, so my mom, I ended up telling her about the emergency room, and she had known about the cutting because, again, it had been 10 years. So a lot of my immediate family knew about it. And they urged me to get help. But like we talked about earlier, if you don't want to help yourself, you're not going to change.
Yeah.
When I told my mom, last night I was in the emergency room, I had to get stitches, this and that, her response was, all right, so how long are you going to do this? Do you want me to start planning your funeral, or I don't know what? She was like, because the only person you're hurting is us. Who's going to pay for your funeral? Are we going to pay for it?
Yeah.
And that like tough love is very stereotypical for Filipino. She's Filipino, but again, just Polynesian culture. But yeah, it just really got me thinking, like, this is getting old. I need to stop. Like, I need to stop pushing it aside because I have the resources to help me. And at this point, I'm choosing not to take the resources. I have a family that has tried to support me. I have, my mom and my dad both tried to get me to see therapy, and I didn't want to. I felt like that wasn't what you do. So that was a big turning point for me to turn my life around a little bit and start seeing a therapist, getting energy work done. And then, so this last year in 2020, I saw the most progress within myself. And I feel like that kind of just pushes me to keep going. So I love my therapist. I get Reiki done like every 2 to 3 months. And I just feel so much lighter. So being able to just step out of what I'm used to, the norm, my comfort zone, taking care of myself, seeing how much better I am, how much more I can help other people, and just like how much my life has flourished since I started doing that. It's obviously not a coincidence, So yeah, 2020 was a big year for me to up my game.